3 weeks. Basically, if you click down here, you can bring up your calendar looking thing. And then you can see you go from the 30th to the 7th. That's 1 week. Okay. 2 weeks. And this week will be on, that starts the 21st. We will be on vacation on that week. So it's this week, next week, and the week after that. That we have to be at school. And then that week after that is the start of our Christmas vacation. Yay! Or holiday vacation, as some people like to call it. I say it's Christmas vacation. Winter break. Some people call it winter break. Okay. All right, folks. We are a little bit under the gun here, and I've also just been informed of some news. We are going to try and catch up a little bit with some of our compatriots in other classes. And in order to do that, we're going to do a quick covering of the things in Chapter 2. Okay, starting on page 187 in the textbook. If you are not there, you need to get there. Holy smokes, Marcos, what's going on? Oh my gosh. All right, well, since you're not doing anything, can you get those lights for me? Oh, you're a great guy. I don't care what Jonathan says about you. All right. So here's the deal. We have our documents. Go ahead and bring up a blank Word document. Okay. And what we are going to do with this blank Word document is we are going to present our screen. Okay. And while that is printing up, while that is coming up and we're presenting that screen. Okay, in the book, basically, lesson 11 talks about spelling and grammar checks. If you are at your computer, go ahead and type in, let's type in about, A-B-O-O-T, like the Canadians say it. You guys ever heard a Canadian say about? They say about. What's all this about? I actually had a lady that I worked for. She was like the director of my department, and she was from Canada. And everything she said had a Canadian accent, and she talked like this. And she always wanted to know what we were doing about something. About is how they say it. So is that how it's spelled, though? No, it is not. So type in A-B-O-O-T and press the space bar. And what happens underneath the thing? You get that little squiggly line, right? The little squiggly line basically says, hey, you screwed this up. All right, right-click on it. And you'll get a bunch of options. Did you mean about? Were you trying to talk about religious people and you were trying to say Abbott? Did you accidentally hit a B instead of the F and it should have been a foot? Okay. Notice that you got an option down here that says add to dictionary. For example, everybody type in my last name, Lancon, space. Now, is that a word? Have you ever Lanconed something? No, probably not, right? Is that a word in the English language at all? No, it is not. But look, everybody look. No red squiggly underline underneath it. Why? Exactly, because I added it to the dictionary, and that prevented it from being seen as a weirdo word that doesn't work. Okay? If you would like to see what is in your dictionary, everybody go to File. Okay? Go all the way down here to Options. And you've got Proofing. Okay? if you click on proofing here, you can see that there are ways to do autocorrect things. Like if you wanted to ignore words being in uppercase or flag repeated words, something like that, or change words that always appear, you can click on this box or one of these check boxes to fix stuff. And there's also the custom dictionary. Okay, if you click on custom dictionary and you edit the word list, you can actually put in words like, for example, your name. If you've got a name that always brings up the sensors, so to speak. Okay, you can even type in words and add the words. Like if you type in a word here, you can click on add and it will add it to your custom dictionary. And you say, okay, okay. And then from now on, that word won't come up as a problem. Okay. There are also autocorrect options. If you click on autocorrect options, it will give you the ability to, like, if you type in parentheses C parentheses, it'll actually give you the little copyright mark, or some other things like a lot. Like I always type in ALOT, no space. I just do it because that's how I think that word actually is. But the English people always say, no, it's not. It's not really that. It's a space lot. And so this auto correcting thing always, if you type in a lot, it will automatically correct it to a lot. And that is something like if you wanted to add to that, if you always misspell some word and it's like it doesn't ever catch it, it doesn't ever make it change to the right spelling, you can actually put it into the autocorrect options and get it to automatically change. Okay. Grammar checks are another thing. If you ever see a blue underline underneath something, that means you have screwed up some grammar. You have said the wrong word. You didn't put in the right punctuation. Sometimes a thing that I see a lot with some of you guys is that you accidentally put 2 spaces in between a word instead of 1, and it will ding you for that, and it'll give you that blue squiggly line. That just means, do a little correcting of your grammar, use the right word, take out that extra space, do something like that, and it will happen. Now, I also want you to notice something else, like a lot and space. Look, it automatically corrects it. Okay, that is called autocorrect. That corrects spelling as you type. Okay. Checking spelling and grammar, editing the custom dictionary. Thesaurus. Let's say I don't like using the word a lot. Okay. So I highlight the word a lot. I go to Review tab, the Review tab, and there is a button for a thesaurus. You click on it. It'll pop a sidebar over here. And it's like, hey, here's all these different words that you could use instead of that word that you used 100,000 times. Okay, so if you find that you're using the same word over and over again to describe stuff, maybe hit the thesaurus and try a different word every now and then, because that would make you sound a lot more intelligent and also not like an idiot. All right, one more thing. There is something, everybody take a look. I'm getting here to the edge of the page, and I'm going to say something like defenestration. Okay, defenestration. Do you know what that word means? It means throwing somebody out a window. Okay, but I've got this word, and there's not enough space for it over here at the edge of my last sentence of this line, so it has to go down to the next line. Well, you guys remember that thing where it's like you just put a hyphen at the end of the word, and it's like half the word stays up here, but the other half goes to the next line? Okay, that is not something that necessarily happens automatically. Okay, so you go to the Home tab, and you can actually choose how things hyphenate. Okay, and one of the things that you can do is you go to the Layout tab. Okay, you go to the Layout tab, and there's a blue box here for hyphenation, and you can choose to have none, to have automatic hyphenation, or to do it manually. Okay, if you choose automatic hyphenation, then it's defenestration. Actually, it should be defenestration. Defenestration. See, it's defenestration. Okay, and it hyphenates that word automatically. Now, that is something that you have to put down as an option that you have to choose to do automatic. Okay. It will not do it on its own. Okay, it's something that it's like you do have to. And the manual one does come with these suggested hyphenations and stuff like that. Okay, but that is how you can break up words and use the most space. You can maximize your space as much as possible, which sometimes is an issue. Okay, there's also a thing called a non-breaking space. Okay, for example, I'm here at the end of the paragraph and I want to type in about the Boston Herald, which is a newspaper. The Boston Herald. Okay, now the Boston Herald is one thing. It is a newspaper. That name kind of needs to stick together. But as you can see, it's been split up into the two different lines. Now, if I hold down Control Shift Space, now those words stick together, and the word the sticks to Boston and goes down to the second line with it. Okay, if you take a look and you go to your paragraph markers, if you click on your paragraph markers, notice a lot when I normally press space, it's just like a little dot. Okay, but it's like when I do, like here's a dot for a space. Okay, with my paragraph marks on. But when I do a non-breaking space, which means do not break these words up, keep them together, then I get a little circle instead. You see the little circle? Okay, that high circle means this is a non-breaking space and it does not break up the word whenever it gets to the end of the sentence. There's also a non-breaking hyphen. Do the same thing. Control Shift hyphen and you'll get a non-breaking hyphen, which means that everything sticks together even if the word should appear at the top in the previous line instead. Okay, so everything sticks together that way. This is really good for you guys. Some of you have multiple last names. Hispanic names sometimes have that tendency. You guys have seen like your Rodriguez dash Gonzalez's, you know, people like that. I used to know a guy in the Navy with his name was Rodriguez Gonzalez. His name tag was like really long. But you guys know some people like that probably. There's some people on my list here for school. They have double last names. That is something that, you know, if you want to keep together your name every time it appears so that it's not Rodriguez Gonzalez, okay, it's Rodriguez Gonzalez, you use a non-breaking space, Control Shift Space in between your two last names, and it will hold those two last names together, and one won't appear on the top line and then the other appears on the bottom line. That's lesson 11. Moving on. A selection moving. If you want to put some words in a different position, you can highlight, okay, and you can click it and drag it and let it go, and it drops it into that position, okay. You can also cut and paste. So the first method I just used right here was called drag and drop. If you use cut and paste, that is cut and paste, okay. Paste special is something that you can actually use. You have paste options, okay. You have to copy something first. So if I copy that and then I say paste special, there's ways to like you can keep the source formatting, or you can use the different formatting on the different page that you are on, or you can just keep the text. Okay, paste special actually does fun stuff like, do you want to make it into an HTML document? Do you want to have it be formatted text? Do you want to turn it, basically, do you want to turn it into a box object? Okay. That is all kinds of fun craziness that it's very rare that you would get into that kind of stuff, but it's possible. That's lesson 12. Lesson 13, copying a selection. Control C is your friend, okay? Or right-click copy, or click this copy button right here. That's lesson 13. Yay! Wow, we are cruising. Now to the meat and potatoes of the matter, lesson 14. Okay. Sometimes when you are doing a document, you need to put in information that needs to be viewed in like a certain format. Okay, and that format is a table. Okay, it's really quick and easy to do tables. There are some tricks to it though that I want you guys to know about. So to insert a table, did you hear the word insert? Oh, insert. What does that mean? It means go to the insert tab. Everybody go to the insert tab real quick. So if you want to quick jump to this portion of the textbook, it is to page 208 in the textbook. Technically, it's 209. That's where the meat and potatoes start happening. Okay, on page 209, if you want to read in further detail about the things that we are going to be talking about, it starts on page 209. So, to insert a table, you go to the Insert tab, and there is a table box. There's an entire table section, but it's mostly the drop-down menu for tables. Now, a super quick and easy way, if you already know how many boxes you need for your table, is to just use this right here, this first area, to create a table of the size that you need. Let's say I have two things that I need to know about: a person's name and a person's grade. Okay, because this is going to be my failure list or something like that. Okay, name and grade. So I do 2 by 1 table. Okay, 2 columns and 1 row. Or if I know that I have like 7 people on this list, I can go down a little bit and I can do a 2 by 7 table. Okay, so let's say I had four failures. Okay, I'm going to do a 2 by 4 table. Everybody do this with me. 2 by 4 table. Click on it. You click it, it creates the table. Now, if you've got your paragraph markers on, you will see funky little symbols. Okay, this little symbol right here means this is the end of the information that's in this paragraph box. Okay, there is also a funky little symbol like that at the end of the paragraph box right here, which says this is the end of the table itself. Okay, and you will also notice that there is a box on the table. If you have clicked into the box, there is a box on the table here. If you click this box, it selects everything in the box. Go ahead and do that. Click on this little box up here in the corner of your table, and it will highlight all boxes in your table. Okay? Now, notice you also have a paragraph marker underneath this for starting a new line of text under it. Okay? So what do we do with this kind of stuff? Let's say, first off, a good idea for every table that you do. I said I had 4 students who failed, and I have 4 rows here. But guess what? What is always a good piece of information to have at the top of every table? Labels. Labels that tell you what the information below it mean. So go to this first box line here. Go to the first box and say name. Now, how do we get from one place to another? Usually in Word, we press enter, correct? Not here. If you press enter, you're just going to make that box fatter. Okay? So don't press enter, press tab to go to the next line, or to the next box in your row. Everybody press tab to go to the next box and type in grade. Okay? Now, let's just go ahead and say that this is a general list of grades, not necessarily the failure report. Let's be more positive than that. Let's say that this is the general grades of people. So the first person who is on our list here is Joe. Now, how did I get here? If you are on the last box of a paragraph, if you are in the last box of a table, you can press tab and it takes you down to the next row. Okay? So if you are in the first box or in a subsequent box, you can press tab and it takes you to the next box in a row. But when you get to the last box in a row, you can press tab and it goes down to the next line. These boxes, by the way, are not called boxes. I call them boxes because it just makes sense to me, but they are technically called cells. Each individual box here that you see is called a cell. All right, so type in Joe. Now, in addition to being able to press tab to get from place to place, you can also press the arrow keys. Press the arrow key and you will find yourself going to the next box. And Joe's grade was an 85. He is an okay kind of student. Okay? Now, you can press tab and go down to the next line. And the next person that is on this list is, let's say it's Maria. Okay? Maria, she had a 75. She missed a couple of assignments. Poor Maria, she was out with strep throat and she missed a big test, and unfortunately it really hurt her. Okay, so she's got a 75. Now tab one more time, and let's say our third student is Jose. And Jose, press tab again. Jose is my stellar superstar student. He got 100. Okay. Now, I did say that we have 4 students, but we have exhausted all of our lines. Press tab one more time. Ta-da! Creates a blank new line. Our last student is Jesse. Okay, and Jesse, press tab. Jesse failed, unfortunately. She skipped school a lot. She was doing like not a lot of homework, so she had a tough time. Let's say Jesse failed with a 61. Okay. All right. So if you need a new line, you press tab. Now, what if you accidentally got a line and you're like, oh man, I don't need this line? Guess what? You can actually click on it and drag through the line, right click, and you can delete the row. It gets rid of that row. Now, what if I need more information? Obviously, these are people's first names. What about last names? Okay, go up to name and type in first. Go up to name and type in first. Now, I'm going to need somebody's last names in here. Okay, now take your mouse and you can click. If you go above the just above a column, you can click. You'll get like a big black down arrow. You get that big black down arrow, and you can actually click to get the entire column. Okay. Now, you can also right click and get this, but take a look up here. You're in a table. You get table tools. Okay. You got table tools for design, which is mostly about color and shading and stuff like that, and borders and lines and stuff. But you also have layout. Go to the layout table tools. Go to the layout table tools. Notice that there is a situation right here with rows and columns where you can insert them above, below, left, and right. Okay, let's insert a column to the right of the one that we're currently in. So insert right. Now it spreads it out a little bit. It equally spaces everything. Now we've got a whole new column. Let's go last name at the top. And we could say this is Joe Arroyo. Okay. Maria Sanchez. Jose Altuve. Like the Astros guy. And Jesse Simpson. And once again, what did I say about customizing the dictionary? Whenever you have words that it doesn't recognize, right click, add to dictionary. And now Altuve will no longer be seen as a weirdo word. Okay? Now, you have a box here that says alignment. You can choose the text direction. You can also choose where the words appear in the boxes. For example, if I make this box rather wide and I choose this row, okay, how did I resize that box you just said? That's probably what you just said. Look here. When you have a row, if you go to one of the lines, as you approach that line, your cursor will change from the I bar, which types in words, to a 2 bar with arrows pointing up and down. Okay? When you get that, click and hold and drag down. Click and hold and drag down. So go to the line. When your mouse changes from an I bar for text to a double bar with arrows pointing up and down, that is a thing that allows you to change the size. So make it about that big. Okay. Now, once you've got a bigger box, highlight all the way from first name all the way to grade. First name to grade, highlight those. Now we're going to make some changes. In the layout, you can see this alignment section. You've got different, kind of like you did with pictures. You've got align to the top left, align to the top middle, align to the top right, center left, center right, lower left, lower right, and center, center. Okay, go ahead and click on the center, center. Align center. It should be the one in the middle of those 9 boxes. Okay, now you can see that it's not at the top, it's not at the bottom, it's not on the left, it's not on the right, it's in the center of everything. Now another thing that you can do is change the text direction with this button right here. Okay, you can make it to where the words point downwards. You can make it to where the words point upwards. Why is everything not doing it? Okay, point down, point up, and point to the right. It won't do point to the left because that's just weird and backwards and nobody can read that. Not unless you come from a culture where actually they do that anyway. All right? Now, so that is a way to align text in a certain direction because you want to be able to, like, let's say you want to have like more space in a certain direction, but this title is a pretty long title. You can actually change that stuff to be that way. Okay? All right, change it back to normal reading style. Okay, that's fine. Cell sizes, if you needed to have a cell size that was a particular size, you can actually change the height and width like automatically. Like if you needed a 1-inch height of a box, you can use the cell size to change the height of all the boxes to 1 inch. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and highlight this line and create a line above it. Insert above. Insert above. Give yourself 3 boxes above the first name, last name grades. We are going to do a title for the overall table now. But if it's a title for overall table, I don't need 3 boxes to do it. I just need 1. Now, highlight all 3. If you don't have all 3 highlighted already, highlight all 3 in your new box. Marcos, did you insert above? Do insert above. There you go. All right, now, see this thing that says merge cells? Merge cells causes all of these boxes that you have highlighted to become one big giant box. All right, now type in 4th 6 weeks grades. 4th 6 weeks grades. Okay, and maybe you could like reduce the size of it a little bit. Take that bar, you get your cursor on the bar on the underside of it, squeeze it on up, make it a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, let's do some design work. Highlight everything here for the student grades. Highlight everything here for the student grades. Go to the design tab. Okay. Notice here we have table styles. Table styles will allow you to quickly make changes, okay, to the coloration of the document here. Okay. Let's okay, so there's also a drop down to give you more options. Let's choose this one right here, if you can. Okay. There's grid tables and there's list tables. We're doing a grid table right now. So choose this one, or like some other color, kind of like it. Okay. Now we've got a bar at the top with a certain coloration. We've got bars on the sides with a certain coloration. Okay. But looks like these 2 aren't getting the treatment. Okay. So you got last name and grade, and those are titles. So is first name, but it's not doing it the same way. Oh no, what's going on? All right. Click on the area of first name. Okay. Now go to the Home tab. And remember the thing that says Format Painter? Click on that. Click on Format Painter, and then paste through the last name and grade. Why did you not work? It's not working. Dang you, curses. Okay, never mind, that didn't work. It used to work. Okay. All right, well, that being what it is, you can always just kind of do the same kind of shading and make changes. All right, so you can make those kind of changes. You can change that up, do a little shading yourself and stuff. Okay, you can go here, click on the first name area, see what shading it is, or change the shading to something different, make some kind of change to it, you know. Anyway, another thing that you can do basically is to go ahead and go over here. So where it says table style options, you have check boxes that say header row. Are we going to make a different header row than everything else? Total row. Is the last row something that needs to be highlighted? Banded rows. Banded rows basically means light color, dark color, light color, dark color. Okay, so you could change those rows to be different. Okay, first column. First column means is the first column going to be a different color? So to make everything the same, we could just take the first column and we could unclick it, and that way it is not considered different. Okay, last column kind of does the same thing. Let's say you've got like grades, and the grades are like wanting to be, you want to highlight those grades. You click on last column, and you can highlight the grades. And banded columns means that the columns in the and on the side to side are basically like different shades, dark light, dark light, dark light, as you go down the page left to right. Okay. Now you can just also automatically change the colors. Everybody go up here to the 4-6 weeks box. Click into the 4-6 weeks box. Go to shading. Give me like a real dark blue color right here. Okay. Give a real dark blue color to that one. All right. Now, you've got your document. You've got it all set up. It seems to be pretty nice, pretty fancy and everything. Pretty fancy. It's pretty nice. It's fancy. Okay. If you ever needed to like change something, like getting rid of a box or something like that, you can highlight it, right-click it. You can insert. You can delete a cell. Okay. It is going to try and ask you if you want to move things up or to the right, or delete entire rows, or delete entire columns. You know, you can do that kind of stuff. You can change how things look and stuff like that. That is somewhat unnecessary most of the time. Most of the time, you're going to want to do a box situation like this. But let's say, see how you got, look here. You got first names, you got last names, and grades. They're all in the middle, and you got people's names here on the left. All right, highlight first name, last name, and grade. Actually, highlight first name and last name. Just first name and last name. Go to the Home tab. And you can also use these paragraph alignment stuff. Okay? Now, an important thing to know is that sometimes you are manipulating the table itself, and sometimes you are manipulating the individual things in the table. For example, highlight these numbers. I don't want these numbers to be over here, so I'm going to move them to the right. Okay, same with grade. I'm going to take grade, I'm going to move it to the right, using the normal paragraph stuff. But if I highlight the table, okay, and I want to center the table, okay, I am centering the table itself. If I highlight the entire table and I click on center, I have centered the entire table. And some of you might not understand what I'm talking about there because it goes all the way across the screen. Let's say I did this. I'm going to take and resizing. I am resizing the information by changing the size of the individual boxes, columns, just the same way as I did the rows, by grabbing the bars and pulling them. Now I've made a much more smaller and compact box, okay? But if I take this box, if I take this table, and I do left, center, right, I am changing the entire alignment of the table itself, okay? Okay, you have to change from a different way. You have to do text alignment. If you want to change like the entire text box to everything be in the center, you have to do it a different way. You have to do them sometimes individually, but sometimes you can use this alignment thing, okay? If you check the entire box, it is going to manipulate the entire box, okay? So try that out for yourself. Try and make your boxes smaller and more compact by taking the columns and changing the size of the columns to where they just about fit. Okay, notice what I did. I went to the side of the, of the box. Okay, I went to the side of the box. It changes the mouse whenever you do that to that same kind of 2 bars with 2 arrows pointing out of it. I click and hold, and I drag. Okay, and that makes it a different size. Now, if you take the edge boxes, if you take the edge of the boxes, you can make the box itself, the entire box, bigger and smaller, okay? If you do an inside, if you're doing an inner column, you're taking the column and making it bigger and smaller. But if you go to the edge of the box, you can actually make the entire box bigger and smaller, okay? That is also something you can do here in the layout section, okay? Now, if you want to do this the easy way, everybody do this. Click on your box. Using this box in the corner here, click on it. Okay. See this thing on the, go to Table Tools, Layout. See this thing here called Auto Fit? Auto Fit will make it size up to just be big enough for whatever it is in your boxes. Okay. Go to the one that says Auto Fit Contents. And it makes the box just big enough for the things that you have typed in. See? All right. So that's good for now. Everybody go ahead and clean up your desks, and people in the online environment, if you were here, go ahead and log off and go to your next class. We will see you guys later.